So Margaret, we're going to start initially with the 25 quick-fire questions to get to know you. So, first question. What is your full name?
Margaret Ann Barton.
When is your birthday and your year of birth?
24th of May, 1926.
As a child, where were you born and raised?
Where was I born? In London.
Finsbury Park, I remember. Is it Finsbury Park?
Finsbury Park.
Finsbury Park. If any, how many brothers or sisters did you have growing up?
I had an... Ah! I've got a picture of them right opposite you.
And which one are you? Are you the middle one or the right?
I'm the one on the right.
So that looks like...
Enjoying life as I did from the very beginning.
So 2 sisters, 1 brother.
And 1 brother.
Yeah. And you are...
One brother younger than me, and I didn't like
right?
him coming so early. I didn't like that, so I filled my mouth with sand. And the nurses didn't like that either, so they cleaned me out of the sand. I was only 3.
And you are the middle child. So you've got an elder sister, then you, then your younger brother.
That's right.
Perfect, okay. What was your earliest memory of going to the cinema or the theatre?
Very early. We used to walk into the town. We used to walk into the town and go to the church and go to a nice change of somebody dancing. I loved it when everybody was dancing.
Past or present, maybe as you were growing up, who would you consider to be your favourite actor or actress? Is there any one actor that you loved?
Everybody, to me, was a very clever actor.
And did you have a crush as a girl on any of the leading men? Not before you were working, just as a young lady growing up. Was there a film star that...
I used to love the dancers. Fred Astaire and...
A key one here, was there an actual event or trigger that first prompted you to seriously consider acting as a profession?
As a child, I think that was me right from the beginning, and the neighbours next door were a very nice couple, and he was a butcher. And he and his wife thoroughly enjoyed the fact of having us as a family next door to them.
Perfect. Despite the noise of the dancing and the singing from your house, they still liked you. Did you ever attend a stage school or audition, study or formally train to be an actor anywhere?
I went to dancing lessons right from the start. I can remember doing that. And then I taught dancing myself. After that, I loved it. I used to teach the little girls dancing.
Amazing. What was your first ever paid acting performance? I suppose your first professional debut. And how old were you?
I don't believe there was any change whatsoever. I started dancing. I started pretending to be someone I used to open the door, which was high up for me. It was up. I had to go and touch the thing, so I was quite small.
And was your first professional engagement, was that the play Nora? Was that your first professional performance? You was in a play at the Duke of York's Theatre at 13 years old. Do you remember that?
No, in any case, I would have been younger than 13.
Really?
Very much so, yes.
Because you were in a play, Nora, with John Abbott and Joan Kemp-Welch, and it was directed by Marius Goring.
Good heavens. I'd forgotten all about them.
Well, today we're going to take you back.
Yes, it does.
So that was, yes, I think you were 13 at the time, 1939. Couple of weird ones, because obviously you've signed some photographs. Bit of a strange one, because I've seen your signature where you have the N and it goes back across the T. So you've got quite a distinct signature. So the question is, at the beginning of your career, did you put much thought or practice into your autograph, into your signature?
No, that was just how it worked out. I used to love doing that.
As a child, you just...
Yes.
Because, again, if you were to look at your signature, the very distinctive part is the N on the Barton, where it comes back and crosses the T.
Oh, right.
And I've seen some old signatures from you signed in, like, the 50s or the 40s, and it's very similar, you know, the N and the T. So obviously it's a very distinct action. Can you remember how old you were when someone asked you for your first autograph?
Asked me to?
When someone very first asked you for your autograph, how old were you?
Now, I'm not quite sure I've got your whole sentence.
So, can you remember the first time somebody asked you to sign your name, sign an autograph in their autograph book?
No, I don't.
Which of your parts, your performances or your characters, would you say most people remember you for?
Probably the film where my father died, where he was going to give his time up to the police.
Robert Newton, you're talking about?
Robert Newton.
Temptation Harbour. Temptation Harbour.
Temptation Harbour.
Yeah.
That was the name of it.
You think that's the one that most people remember you for? Obviously, as well as Brief Encounter, of course.
Do you know, I don't honestly know or remember.
Is there any part that you're particularly proud of? Any of your performances where you think you did a really great job?
When I was paid for something to do, I was quite tiny. Sorry, I think I was quite small.
Yes, because certainly in the 40s, you were cast much younger than your actual age, wasn't you?
Yeah.
Typically.
Yeah.
I think you were playing teenagers when you was in your early 20s.
Yes. And later on, of course, I played a child when I was 17, for instance, and I was still a child. Pink string and sealing wax.
Yes, yes. At any point in your life or your career, have you ever met somebody and been starstruck? When you've been on the set, on a studio, or have you met somebody famous that you was really in awe of? I mean, have you ever asked anyone for their autograph for your career?
I don't remember that. I used to love people who were in the theatre, so and that was it.
Right, right. Throughout your career, were you one for collecting memorabilia? Any programs or posters or scripts? Did you collect anything throughout your career or not?
I worked for Children's Hour, which was the famous time when the school gave its I don't remember. It's no good.
I know I'm taking you back. To perform in, what's your preference? Theatre, television, cinema, radio? What was your preferred medium?
I loved everything I was doing. That's the main thing.
As long as you was working.
That's right. That was beautiful. I loved it.
I'm not sure if you'll remember this, but was there ever a part that you auditioned for that you really wanted to get but you didn't get?
No.
You got everything. I mean, did you ever turn down a role that you maybe later regretted?
No. No. I said to the famous director in those days, he asked me if I could speak to the back of the theatre. And I said, oh yes, my voice would reach anything that was needed. Then that's what I would do.
Right, right. When you look back at your career, is there one co-star that you were particularly fond of, that you had the most fun working with? Who did you like most?
I liked everybody I was working with. That's the main thing, really.
A nice diplomatic answer.
I liked everybody.
And was there a director that you particularly enjoyed working with?
No. I enjoyed working with them, actually. Whoever it was who was training me or telling me what to do. For instance, we had a table and chairs on the stage, and they asked me to go round to the other side of these chairs. So I walked, without thinking, I walked across them all.
What, they went everywhere?
Yes, yes. So they said to me, did you mean to do that? So I said, no, as a matter of fact, I thought it was rather nice. And they said, it's lovely, keep it in. I used to enjoy working like that.
Perfect.
You know, if you needed me to do something, then I did it.
Perfect. This one might get you thinking. You're hosting an intimate dinner party and you can invite 3 people, dead or alive, to come along, other than your dear husband, of course, he's a given. Who would you invite? Could be anybody. Actors, singers, politicians, musicians.
I don't remember. It's no good. I tell you what, I loved people. That's what I was in for. That's what I was working for.
Right.
We were there all together, and so therefore I liked everybody.
Perfect.
Even as a child.
So you just love being part of the ensemble, the cast, having a group of people working with you.
That's right.
Right. Couple of last questions on this, then we'll wrap up. Looking back over your career, do you have any regrets? If you had your time again, would you do anything differently or make any different choices?
No, I don't believe so. I just enjoyed the whole. Do you know I was going to put in a square I was going to put in a bad word.
A little expletive, Margaret.
I was going to put. I would have done any bloody good for everybody.
So last question. Tell us something about you or your career that most people would not know.
I think most people did know me, so that's quite tricky. How goodness knows how much everybody knew me as an actor.
Fantastic.